Okay, hey guys. We're gonna get started. Now I have one eyebrow that's higher than the other one. Actually, one side of my face is taller than the other. If I could get a facelift just on my right side, it would be great. But well, what am I really gonna do with that today? Not a damn thing. So I start off with baby scissors for trimming, and then I bring some tweezers into the mix for precision, and a razor because that's all that I'm gonna tolerate in my life. Now I'm gonna take a spoolie and brush my brows through, kind of get them ready for what needs to happen to them because I really grew it crazy for y'all. I brush all the brows up, all the brows. I brush all the hairs up and see what excess hair needs to be trimmed. And I'm really picky about this because a lot of people trim too much. So I'll trim the beginning of my brows like exactly to the line of where my eyebrows should be. And then as far as the tail is concerned, I'll brush it up. And if it's not too long, then I won't worry about it. Same thing with brushing them down. If it's not too reckless, like I'll let it go. Because I don't want to end up with really short brows for no real reason. That's not what's up. Now, I know half of you guys are familiar with the theory of doing your brows according to the angle from your nose. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, this is what the chart looks like. Only problem with this theory, no disrespect, is a lot of people got some fucked up noses. They're really wide or really crooked or really thin. So with this pencil, I'm going to show you how I do my guidelines according to my eyes. So the first one was the very tip of my tear duct. The second one is the outside of my iris. And then the last dot is the outer corner of my eye, like going straight up and out. So I hope that makes sense a little bit. And then I start to connect the dots, basically. Real simple, like from point A to point B to point C. Just trace it out. Now, some people do the same thing on top. I don't because it looks weird to me. So I just skip that. But this is where I would tweeze or razor. Like I told you guys, if I'm in a rush, I'll probably, more likely to do the razor. But if I have a little more time and I want it to be like extra clean, I will go in with the tweezers and hurt myself just a little bit. Gotta get all around it. So the front head of the brow, gotta make sure I get rid of all that hair. I need two brows. And then I also make sure I get the fine hairs outside of the brow because that's what really makes the brow extra clean. Now, I really want you guys to get this really good. So the front one, as you saw, is the very beginning of the tear duct. The second one should be the peak of the brow, which is right outside the iris. And the last point needs to be right outside the corner of your eye. Now, as far as filling it in, sometimes I do pencil, but today I'm going to show you how to do it with a brush. This is the brush I've been using with the spoolie on one end, the angled brush on the other. I use NYX brow powder. They have a darker brown and then a chocolate brown next to it, and also a wax to set it. Now, what I usually do to make it waterproof is put alcohol in this really sexy container, get my dip on, and then dip it in the more pigmented color, which is the chocolate brown, and then begin to fill in my brows from the middle of the brow to the tail. I don't start at the very head of it because I don't want it to be too dark, and then it doesn't look real, it looks really fake, it's just not what's up. I want to make sure to always keep brushing it as well. That's a really good way to make sure that everything is well blended and it doesn't look too strong. So after a few strokes, I normally go ahead and brush it. I'm going to go ahead and do the same exact thing on the other side, starting at the mid-brow and working my way towards the tail. I do like to extend the tail to where that third point should be, but I don't always do it like that. It just really depends on how fancy I'm trying to be. Now, once I've got a pretty basic shape, I go in with Black Opal's in Heavenly Honey. It's a foundation, but I use it as a concealer because it's so thick. And I trace under my eyebrows. Now, this is what makes it look like extra, extra crispy. Now, as far as concealers go, you don't have to use something this bright if you want it to look more natural. You can get something that's closer to your skin tone or use your regular foundation. You do not have to use something that provides this much contrast. Contrast is what makes it so crispy, the fact that the brows are so dark and that the concealer is so light. So it's really up to you. It's all about style. Now what I forgot to do is go in for the ashier color and fill in the head of my brows. I completely forgot about that. I do that before I do the concealer part. But I just fill in the very front of it just a little bit so that it can transition into the darker part of the brows. And I do a lot of brushing again and extending the tail here and there, taking what's left of concealer and just running it across the top of it just so that I can get the shape that I want. So I do a lot of tweaking after I get the basic shape of the brow. And then after I've tweaked myself to death, I go in with my finger and just rub out the concealer so I can blend it down so I can start my shadows and whatnot. Then I really just keep brushing my brows until I'm satisfied. Now I know that they're not even, but I really don't aim for my brows to be even. I just want them to be as symmetrical as possible, yes, but I don't stress out over it because oh my god. And then I just make sure that the lines are on point. All the points that we mentioned earlier.
Oh. So, did you love it? Did you love it? Did you love it? I'm going to give you some basic tips so that you guys can figure out what kind of brow works best for you. And rules are rules, but don't get too hung up on them. It's not that big a deal. It's really based on balance. That's where rules come from when it comes to makeup and design and all that stuff. We're just trying to make sure that the eye can focus and that everything is balanced on the face. So if you have a round face, you want to have more angular brows because that's going to bring more angles to your face. If you have a very angular, sculpted, really harsh features, not harsh, but hard features, then you want to go with a more round, more soft brow because that's going to bring softness to your face. Straight brows, normally are for men, more masculine, but women can wear them too. Like I said, don't get too hung up on it. So straight brows are masculine, more arched brows are more feminine. If you rock a real full brow, which they wore in the 90s and it was awesome, full thick brows usually read more youthful, and thin brows normally read older and more severe. If you've ever noticed in like Cinderella or any of the Walt Disney movies, the witch or the evil character normally has really thin, high arched brows, and it's never a good look. Well, actually I take that back because in the 20s they was rocking that look. As far as how you take care of your brows, I know some people feel like waxing is terrible because you end up losing the elasticity in your brows, and as we all know, when you get older your skin sags and loses elasticity already, so you don't want to have like, issues, saggy. What part is this? You don't want to have saggy brows, so fuck. There you go. Other people, they thread their eyebrows. To each his own. Personally, I said at like 23 and a half, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of hurting myself. Like, I don't need to go through this kind of pain. And prior to, 2009, I really didn't wear makeup at all. So I was like, you know what? I'm done. I can only take so much. To use a razor. And for a while, I was tweezing until I realized that this hurts longer. So, razor it is. But it's really up to you. Just make sure you do the proper aftercare as far as soothing the skin and making sure you're not going to use anything that's going to irritate you. And then as far as how you fill in your brows, you have two options. You have pencil, which is normally wax based, and you have to set it anyway. That's the reason why I don't prefer it. It is very precise, but like I said, you have to go over it to set it. Make sure you don't sweat it off where it doesn't disappear throughout the day, because you'd hate to have expression in the morning and be bald in the face in the afternoon. It's just not what's up. Or you have powders. Now I like powders because I like to dip my brush in alcohol and then use the powders to make the brow waterproof. So I could sweat and all type of crazy stuff. My brows are not going anywhere. Also, ladies, I love you to death. And men too. Okay? With the black eyebrows, it's not okay. It's too severe. It's not a good look. Now it is a style, you know what I'm saying? So let me not get crazy for somebody goes off of me. But usually when you're going for a natural or just basic sculpt brow, you don't want to have black because it's just so harsh of a color. So you normally want to use a brown, a really, really dark brown, or if you're of a fairer complexion, a taupe color, a medium brown. If you're red hair, you kind of want to match that. It's really up to you, but you don't want to have anything that's too harsh on the brows because it could look like your brows are literally popping off of your face and the rest of your face is like bleh. So yeah, and some people, they like to fill in their brows really heavy right here, but that's not natural. Like, it's not natural. That's not how your brows grow in. So that's why usually I like to fade it out a little bit or use a lighter powder here and then use a darker powder from the arch to the back, because that's usually how your brows go. And they also have that new like ombre trend. Everything is ombre, so some people are doing ombre brows where the head of it is really fair or blonde and then it kind of proceeds to a dark brown. Up to you, all about style. But that's how I do mine. If you guys have any questions, I'm so sorry that I was so late with this, and I know some of you guys had attitudes and I got inbox messages and posts and all kinds of stuff. But it's here, yay! And I've tried to film this like 2-3 times. It's been craziness. But now I have it together. See, this is me having it together. So if you have any questions, comments, requests, concerns, post them. And I will see you guys next time.